So, hola, I can say, as I'm leaving Madrid and making my way to Aragon. As I had some nice few days here, a bit to unwind, to relax, and to get into the right mindset then for the third and final race, which will take place at Motorland Aragon. But before we look at that, so here are the current standings. So 7th is not really where I want to be, and I only have one more race to do something about that. And from the looks of it, the top 3 are probably gone, unless they really have an issue, which I don't want to hope for. I rather want to make my success myself as far as I can, so 4th seems to be within range, so let's aim for that, and let's see what happens. And first, let me make my way towards Aragon, and then I give a brief preview about the track once I'm close to my destination. So it's approaching evening time, and I'm approaching Saragossa, where I will stay the night before driving the short way to the Aragon track tomorrow morning. And what you can see there, that's not another stadium, that's a bridge, which simply looks like that from afar with these things that look like floodlight masts. So what to expect from the track? It's the same layout that I've driven last year in the Audi TT, so very fast for the most part. One very long straight, not too wide, but rather well flowing. So in these silhouette cars, this will mean very high G-forces in these fast corners. So that's something I'm not really looking forward to, because that's the highest G-forces I have experienced so far, and I think that's one of my issues that I have in general with this car. So what I will do now is give it a good night's rest, and then be ready tomorrow to tackle the final challenge of the Silhouette series. And let me conclude this video with some nice impressions from the area here, and until then, see you on track, and remember to send it. So, on track now during qualifying, and I don't have to walk you through
You're running last.
the track.
New fastest lap for Gutierrez, 141.25.
Since it's exactly the same layout as last year in the Audi TT RS Cup. So I missed the first lap due to...
Fastest lap for Guilo, 139.61. New fastest lap for Giorgi, 139.00.
due to track limits. So that wasn't the ideal line. So overall, I have some issues pointing
Sector 1 is 0.7 off the pace.
the car to be exactly where I want it. Because there are very strong brakes in these cars, as I've mentioned a few times, and sometimes you don't need to brake that much, and then it's very difficult to have the right braking intensity and also rotate the car. And here you have insane G-forces, so you see that I'm sort of drifting to the outside, which, yeah, is probably the highest G-forces I've expected so far. That doesn't make it easier. At least you have the long straight here to relax.
Your sector 2 time is quick.
The last corner is particularly tricky, because you don't have that much braking distance, but you also need to rotate the car ideally. And with the high G-forces and the grip here, you can be faster than you think.
15 minutes remaining, 15 minutes to go.
So where does my first lap end up?
6th place. It's your best lap in this session. That puts you 1.3 off the pace. Sector 1 is 0.7 off the pace. Sector 2 time is okay. Sector 3 is 0.9 off the pace. That last lap was at 140.25.
So that looks more like it.
That's a new fastest lap for Giorgi, 138.74.
And as you can see, I am up 1/10. And I'm at a better line into this corner, so now 2/10 up. And now it happened what I've mentioned, so having issues pointing
Sector 3 is yellow.
the car into the direction where I really want it.
Incident in Sector 1. Sector 1 is yellow. Sector 3 is now clear. The guy behind has just done a 140.31.
And driving the car on the exact edge every time, every lap. So you've seen here I've lost almost all time that I was ahead compared to my previous time. So can I then get a good run to the last corner and then at least improve my current time a little bit, even though it wouldn't yield a better place. And I've already now dropped to 7th if you look closely. So decent rotation, but I'm suddenly running into understeer issues, and yeah, that I'm losing everything again, and I'm almost having an identical lap time.
7th position. Your last lap time was at 140.35.
And I can now already give a spoiler alert. This has happened to me several times, so I could have qualified probably 5th, so 4th certainly out of reach. But I couldn't tie the lap together again, but at least now I'm not starting 14th, but at least starting 8th, so that's an improvement overall. So slowly getting used to the car. And now let's see what I can do from 8th place in the race.
15 minutes. Okay, Andy, stay calm, focus.
And hopefully a bit less crash oriented than the last race on this track. Start isn't the best, but not the worst either.
Car on your right.
So everyone trying to get through the first corner.
Still there.
And one big spin.
Yellow flag, incident sector. Let's clear all around.
So 6th. That's good. But then I missed this corner.
Right side. Still there. Clear right.
And lose 1 place.
Run out of track limits. Keep right side.
Trying to position myself, but doesn't work. Nope.
Hold your line. Clear on the right.
So gained 1 place overall.
Left side.
Can I say hello here? Yes, I can.
Still there. Hold your line.
So the difference that forceful driving
Stay
makes
on your line.
something that I've learned in the Audi race here, but the Piazza is overall tenacious.
Now. Car on your left. Stay there. Left side is clear now.
And here, yeah, sudden understeer in the
left is clear now.
dirty air right behind.
Alright, Andy, watch the track limits, please.
So losing 1 more place. I have gone for a rather low downforce setup, and I probably ended up being too low, because I couldn't really stay with people in the corner leading onto this straight. So here I have now the better top speed, and you can see the people in the rearview mirrors actually disappearing despite being in the train. But they're also better here. Again, here I'm missing downforce, whereas the others have downforce. So it's overall a wash in terms of speed, but it's simply a matter of can you overtake or can you defend. So I probably should have opted for a bit more downforce and a bit less top speed. And yeah, you see more issues that the car doesn't exactly go where I want it to go. So in 8th, can I make my way forward?
The next car is Brand, car number 30.
And the next corner is one of those instances where you just need a sort of a short dab on the brakes, but you also want to
use all the track, force them to find the gap.
To rotate. And with these very strong brakes, that's not easy to do. So now I should have a bit better downforce, but again the cars ahead will have more downforce in general, and so they're pulling away.
The gap is now 0.7.
But I should make some headway on them, although they still have their own slipstream, whereas I hardly have. But at least those folks in my rearview mirror, or rather in the rearview display, have now disappeared, so that's good. So it's more about going forward, not having the fear of having to go backwards. And as good as I was in this corner in the Audi, as bad in air quotes,
The leader has just done a 140.91.
I am in this corner in this
The
car.
car in front has just posted a 140.76.
Rather in the Audi TT RS, because these are both Audis. So Brandt seems to get closer, that's good. And this is actually flat here, that's one of the key differences compared to the TTRS. So there you can see the overall difference in effective grip between the Silhouette Audi and the TTRS Audi.
Car left.
So Brandt was a bit slow here, can I make something out of it?
Hold your line.
So everyone's feeling the challenge here of
Left is clear now.
modulating these strong brakes, and I think I've found a better way, and yeah, I'm now past, that's great.
Nice one.
So back to 7.
Okay, Andy. The next car is Piazza, car number 13.
And now let's put the low downforce to good use to keep Brandt behind.
Car on your right. Stay on your line. Clear right now.
So as soon as he loses the slipstream, he hits the wall of air. And I go a little bit defensive here, because I will be slower in the last corner, but if I'm standing in the way, in the right way, then he wouldn't benefit from that.
You've got 10 minutes left, 10 minutes to go. We're looking alright here. So keep your concentration nice and smooth.
So that worked. Nicely hugging the inside. He tries to out-drag me, but that doesn't work on this
Do all the work. Focus on your exits. P7.
rather slow start finish. And now have to hunt Piazza. Here also very high G-forces in this corner where that goes flat. And sometimes when you rotate you slide a bit too wide. So there is a rather low sort of border between still having grip and then losing grip. So it's about the nuances here in this car. And they seem to fight, that's great. So let's hope they lose lots of time during that and not just giving each other slipstream. Brandt seems to have disappeared in the rear view screen, that's great. At this distance you're starting to feel a little bit of slipstream, but I need to get closer to actually make some headway. Here also very high downforce, you have to really force the car into making the turn.
That's your fastest lap today.
So steady improvements on lap time, and these seem to get a little bit closer.
Hold your nerve. Make them do the work.
Big fight ahead, and yeah, so thank you. So now I'm behind Altbauer, but
The
also
car in front of us is now Altbauer, car number 14.
also directly behind, and
Clear on the
knock
left.
knock, who's there? Yeah, it doesn't work, and maybe I should have gotten in line. Here also rather difficult to find the right a split second when to go on the gas. So this looks now a little bit more slipstreamy, but I'm also Brandt is back in my review screen. With a bit more slipstream than I had before, but not much. But again, Brandt can't do an attack to me having less downforce and thus more top speed than him. And then here is simply a matter of standing in the way.
Alright Andy, halfway home. Fuel looks good. That lap time was 1:41.56.
Now this is even flat in the slipstream, so that's nice. So now almost directly behind.
You're reeling V6 in. The gap is 0.21.
Over here is where I've been before. So
Left side, clear on the left
saying
now.
hello again and maybe finding a better timing here. Stomping on the gas. But again, my low downforce here. I'm flat out, but due to the extra force I need to apply to steer the car, I'm losing top speed compared to other cars that have more downforce.
You've got half your fuel left.
But this now should be a halfway decent slipstream.
Stick to the plan. Don't be intimidated here.
But also Brandt gets ideas. So I haven't been able to shake him. But yeah, here's now the difference between me being in the slipstream.
That's 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes.
And the race is a bit too short with these distances and just the rather low differences in speed.
That's a new fastest lap for Minnesman. 1:39.48.
So really making headway. So it seems to balance itself out. I'm getting close in the next corner, but then I'm losing things again. So I can't really go for an attack because for most of the lap I'm too far away. So this loud downforce thing probably wasn't the best decision.
The gap to Altbauer in front is now 0.47.
So it's all about finding the right time to launch the car, but again has a better pull. And yeah, you see me drifting to the outside and having to steer quite heavily. And scrubbing up speed. So they are fighting and not purely slipstreaming, that's great. I've also lost Brandt, so that's good. So maybe their fight can help me? But you see how much I lose here in this last corner with less downforce than them.
The gap to Brandt behind is now 0.7. You've just done a 1:40.30. Good lap. That's your best in the session.
Altbauer has issues and I can say thank you.
Right.
That works.
Still there. Right is clear now.
Well done, Andy. Good pass. Eyes front.
And he seems to have issues because now he falls into the... or has fallen into the clutches of Brandt. Not sure who
The car in front of us is Piazza, car number 30.
ended up first, I think Brandt. So will I have an easier time with Piazza? So again missing the
Come on,
exit.
track limits.
No big deal, but of course the organizers also look at the fastest laps for the overall evaluation, because we're all sort of driving for our next drive here in this year. And every lap where you get an invalid lap, that's not being considered.
2 minutes to go. 2 minutes.
So that's the incentive for us to post as many valid laps as possible. So not the normal stewarding thing, but rather one less data point. And here we have slipstream at work. so he seems to have a rather high downforce level. So I can get alongside, but he will have the huge upper hand in the final corner. Yeah, and he still has to just enter the corner normally, and I have to struggle then through it on my less than ideal line.
P6, one more lap to go.
So one more lap for me to do something. So going asymmetrical compared to the others in terms of setup was fine, but maybe a bit too asymmetrical compared to the high downforce cars. So maybe losing a tad here compared to the others in these flat out corners, because I have to do more steering and thus to scrub up more speed. Can I out-accelerate him here? Nope. Just standing in the way. Here the track isn't really wide enough. So, last chance for slipstream. Pretty good exit, I'd say. But yeah, you see here how much time I'm losing. And speed. When being too close. Now the slipstream can work its magic. And I'm neither seeing Altbauer nor Brandt, so that's also good.
Right side.
And you see that my speed immediately drops once I pull out of the slipstream, and yeah, he does the same trick again, simply enters the corner normally with his superior downforce, and that keeps me in 6th. But I think everything considered is fine.
P6, okay, it's over. Good drive.
And less reliant on things going wrong for others than the last two races. So overall fastest lap is not among the best, but also alright. So I think this is one more or less straightforward race that this has been, ending with me ending up in 6th place. So as I'm now starting my long drive home, and this will be easily 2 days, so we'll stop somewhere in the middle of France. So I ended up 6th, which is alright. Not overly happy, but yeah, as I said, at least a more straightforward race result than rather being stuck behind a mishap as in the first race, or being a big benefactor of others' mishaps as in the second race. Where does this leave me in the standings? Also 6th. So was aiming for 4, but yeah, both Georgi and Minnesman had excellent races. Congrats to them. So ultimately, also with this gap to 5th place, that's probably everything that was possible. An interesting footnote: the top 8 are all Audis, and only from 9 onwards is the other manufacturer that shall not be named. So I guess the Silhouette series organizers, they have to do some more balancing. So what does this mean for the future? So I'm not going to be part of Audi's GT program this year. So that was initially for the top 4. They were talking about expanding that to the top 5, because there is only 1 point difference, and then I'm in 6th, sort of the best of the rest. So not the top folks, but rather than the middle of the pack. And yeah, not sort of bad enough that I would lose my work status or anything. So I have one option on the table already, and there will probably be more, but more about that then once I'm closer to home. So I will, as I said, spend one night in the middle of France, and then a second, probably almost full day of driving then, till I'm back home again. So now leaving the warm Spanish winter, and then yeah, let's see whether there is some snow left where I live. So as I'm now back on the German autobahns, and the road signs are getting more and more familiar. Some time for reflection. So what did they say, the series organizers? As I mentioned at the start, the basic purpose of this series for us drivers, mostly junior drivers, was to evaluate us. So what did the organizers had to say about me? So what they liked were the overall consistency in the race, with a bit of a caveat. So it could have been a bit more consistent with these cars. The same applies to the racecraft, some good overtakes, but also leaving some doors open that I shouldn't have left open. Whereas I certainly struggled with what it was sort of putting the best laps together on the spot during qualifying, and that left me in some disadvantaged positions, especially with these short races. And that's certainly something I'll have to work on in the future. And although that's no excuse, I think I was the person with the least amount of racing experience, because most of them had been racing in karts and then working their way up, whereas 2 years ago I haven't even sat in a real race car at all. So that certainly at least explains something, and also why I might need an extra year or so before getting into the big leagues. So what options are there for the future? So I could race in the full Silhouette series, although I'm not sure I want to, because I didn't really gel with the cars, and I'm saying this openly because I'm sure there can be other options once I set my mind to it in looking for them. So I didn't really appreciate the high G-forces, so they were among the highest G-forces I've ever experienced. So I would need some extra time in the gym to deal with those if I were to race in a Silhouette series. And the same with the very strong brakes, where I had some issues modulating them right every lap, and that's, I think, both these factors that have contributed to my less than stellar qualifying performance. There is one exception in terms of the GT program, so there will be an endurance event on the Nordschleife early next month, and there they will need all the warm and reasonably able bodies to fill the field. So there I will get the opportunity to drive an Audi GT4. So that's great, but that's the only thing at this point that's confirmed. So now is the time for me to get to work together with my sponsor and with Audi to see where I might race this year as one sort of clear year of additional learning. So overall, I think this was a useful benchmark to see where I actually stand in terms of my skill development and what's left to do for the future. So as I'm now almost home, all that's left for me to say is see you on track, and remember to send it